Welcome to 10-Minute History Lessons, where we dive into corners of history in just 10 minutes. Because we believe history should be short, never forgotten. I'm your host, Anthony Milian, and today we're talking about something that sounds like it belongs in a dystopian novel, but it was very real. That's right, the Infantorium. Yeah, you heard that right. Imagine a place where tiny premature babies were displayed in glass incubators, not just for their survival, but for entertainment. This sounds absurd, even horrifying, but in the late 19th and 20th centuries, these infantoriums were saving lives in a way mainstream medicine simply refused to. The story of infantoriums is deeply tied to one man, and that's Dr. Martin Kuhne. He was born in 1869. Kuhne was a German-born physician who claimed to have worked under renowned neonatal care physician and pediatrician Pierre Constant Boudin. Now, whether he actually studied under him is debatable, but what's undeniable is his impact on saving premature babies. Now, see, at the time, premature babies were seen as a lost cause. Doctors and medical staff didn't want to deal with them because they were seen as things that were going to die. Hospitals didn't have the technology, and most doctors, as mentioned before, believed that they just weren't going to survive. And that's where Kuhne stepped in, using incubators originally designed for chicken and poultry to house human infants. Now, his first big showcase was in 1896 at the World's Fair in Berlin. People paid to see rows of tiny, frail babies in incubators with nurses tending to them around the clock. And guess what? It worked. Most of the babies survived. But here's the catch. This wasn't just a medical endeavor. It was entertainment. Now, fast forward to the early 1900s. Kuhne had taken his concept to a surprising place. Brooklyn, New York, Coney Island. Yeah, Coney Island, the home of the roller coaster and carnival barkers, was also the home to an exhibit featuring real, living, premature babies in incubators. For just 25 cents, visitors could walk through, see the infants fighting for their lives, and it was part medical care, part spectacle. But here's the kicker. This wasn't just some morbid display. This was cutting-edge neonatal care and science for its time. Hospitals weren't taking preemies, but Kuhne was. If parents brought him their premature newborn, he would care for them free of charge. The entrance fees, paid by gawking visitors, funded everything: the nurses, the equipment, the formula, and even the children's care. And guess what? It worked. Many believe that Kuhne saved over 6,500 babies through these sideshows. But how did this actually work? Well, visitors would walk through a hall lined with incubators, each containing a tiny, fragile baby. Nurses in crisp white uniforms tended to the infants, carefully monitoring their health. Signs explained the science behind the incubators, making it an educational experience as much as a spectacle. It was an odd mix of humanitarianism and showmanship. Kuhne hired barkers, like the ones who lured people into freak shows, to draw in massive crowds. Some of these barkers spun sensational tales about the babies inside, adding an element of drama. But despite the carnival atmosphere, the results were real. Parents who had nowhere else to turn brought their newborns to Kuhne, and he delivered, giving them a fighting chance when no one else would. The exhibit was so successful that Kuhne expanded to the other amusement parks and fairs, including the Chicago World's Fair in 1933. He set up similar exhibitions in Atlantic City, Omaha, Nebraska, and even London, England. Each time his setup improved, He incorporated latest incubation technology and ensured that his nurses received better training, making his exhibits more than just a sideshow. To add to the legitimacy, CUNY invited skeptical doctors to witness his work firsthand. Some were horrified by this, while others couldn't deny that the effectiveness of his methods worked. Slowly, CUNY's work started shifting public opinion about premature babies and their viability. One of the most remarkable aspects of CUNY's exhibit was his commitment to the children and their families. He would personally follow up with the parents, checking on the health of the babies who had left his care. Former incubator babies often returned as adults to thank him, a testament to the long-term impact of his unconventional but life-saving work. Despite the controversy surrounding the ethics of displaying premature babies to the public, CUNY's incubator experiments were crucial to providing preemies with surviving proper care. His work became an undeniable push towards neonatal advancements, even if it took decades for hospitals to follow his lead. Now, was this ethical? On one hand, these babies had nowhere else to go. CUNY was literally the only one offering life-saving care at a zero cost. But displaying them like a sideshow, that's where things get a little murky. CUNY himself wasn't some sinister profiteer. He refused to exploit babies for money beyond what was needed to keep them alive. He wasn't getting rich. In fact, when hospitals finally started to adopt incubators in the 1940s, CUNY shut down his operation and retired. So what's the takeaway here? Infantoriums were bizarre, ethically complicated, and definitely shocking. But they also worked. They forced the medical establishment to recognize that premature babies could survive with the right care. In many ways, Dr. CUNY, whether you call him a showman or a hero, helped lay the foundation for modern neonatal medicine. And today, when you see a premature baby in a hospital incubator, you have a strange, carnival-like exhibit from over a century ago to thank. And that's it for today's episode of 10-Minute History Lessons. If you find this fascinating, don't forget to subscribe, share, and let me know what you think in the comments. And let me know what other weird corners of history you'd like me to explore next. Until next time, stay curious.